Okay, hey everybody, this is Bradley Benner with Semantic Mastery, and I've got Adam on with me today, and we have our special guest Dan Anton on, although he's having some issues with his camera, so while he's here, we may not be able to see him.
You can look at my picture. That's probably just as good.
I can't even see your picture, can you, Adam?
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's just a black screen.
It's a black screen, so
It's weird.
The mysterious voice.
pay no attention to
Don't look behind the curtain.
So anyways, what's up, Adam? How are you?
Good. Glad to be here. I know a lot of other people are too here. This is obviously somebody whose software we've talked pretty highly of for good reason, because it's something we use, not just one thing, but obviously Crowdsearch of late and great is the big one. And then I talked to Dan last week about some stuff, and so pretty excited myself. So I know, just based off the comments on the page, everyone else is pretty happy that we were able to rope him into doing a quick webinar with us.
Yeah, so Dan, since I was kind of trying to stall to give you some time to work on possibly getting your laptop set up, but if you're available, man, yeah, I mean, guys, those of you that are our students or follow us, we use a lot of Dan's products. He's one of the good guys in the internet marketing industry. He's built a real solid business, and tonight, that's really what we're going to be talking about with Dan, is just about his business and how he built such a solid business, and maybe tips for people that are trying to build a business in this industry, and really just try to glean some information, whatever he's willing to share with us. So Dan, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm sorry my camera's not working so well right now, but yeah, I'm excited to talk to you guys and share whatever I can with your audience. Hopefully, maybe give some people some tidbits as to how they can improve their online business. Because I know there were some definitely bumps in the road when I got started, and hindsight's always 20/20. But if I knew some of that stuff now, it'd be a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, right. I'm sure. Well, that would be really my first question. Is kind of like, without dragging you through the mud, is like, how did you get started, and how long have you been in this business?
Well, I got started. Well, I guess it really goes back to when I was 15 years old. I kind of just enjoyed computer stuff, and I built my first online website. This was like '95. I used AOL and Alta Vista, and essentially my business model was arbitraging this store called Funcoland, which was a New Jersey-based small video game store. And I would just have my friend's grandma drive me there, and I'd buy the games, and I would just charge $5 more plus shipping and handling. And that was my entire business model. I built this crappy little, free website, and I would just, essentially I think I might have pioneered spam. I would just find people on AOL who were interested in video games, and just show them that I could get them any video game, basically. So that was kind of strange.
So you were,
of course, I couldn't get every video game possibly, but it was that was my slogan. And then
so you were
fast forwarding
video games? Is that what you did?
Yeah, I was hustling video games. It worked pretty well though,
That's cool.
And then fast forward into college, I never even played World of Warcraft, but I figured out that I could buy this guy's guide, his gold guide, and I asked him, if I could resell it. And I just sold the crap out of it on eBay. I mean, I just sold a shit ton of this guy,
Wow.
a ridiculous amount. But I joined the Army out of college after 9/11, and I loved doing that. And then got hurt one of my last deployments, and just got myself in a position where I needed to figure out what the hell I was going to do with my life. And just started reading online different things, and I don't know. You go down rabbit holes late at night on the internet when you're trying to figure stuff out for your life, and came upon SEO and that kind of thing, and just started figuring it out. Really, just a lot of research on, if you guys ever remember Backlinks Forum back in the day, and of course Warrior Forum and things like that, Digital Point Forum. So just a lot of research and studying, and then it really all started with me. I know I'm kind of going on a tangent. Am I okay to keep talking here?
Yeah, man. We got an hour. It's all right, buddy.
All right. So I started with Squidoo, and some people are probably like, "What the hell is Squidoo?" But it was a platform similar to, I guess, Hub Pages. And I found people who were selling their.
Correct.
Correct. Yeah, I believe that's what happened.
Okay.
And when I was doing all my research, I just figured out I was learning that PageRank is such a big thing that people wanted. So I was like, okay, people are into PageRank. This is the thing that people want, and it's pretty important. And I found people that had all these, essentially blogs on Squidoo that they created, and they had super high PageRank. I'm talking like lots of PR4s, 5s, and 6s, and they had no idea what they had. They just thought it was a niche site they created that was just dead. So I'd offer them like $5 to buy their site, And yeah, they were like, sure. Well, I don't know why the hell you want this site, but I was like, okay, cool. So I bought 100 of these sites basically, and I turned it into this tiered network of, essentially a PBN on Squidoo. And I started charging. I just made a nice little forum post on Backlinks forum. I don't even remember what my username was back then. And to my surprise, I was making almost $1,000 a month in like a few days. I was like, holy crap, this online stuff's pretty cool. And I was just about to be out of the Army at that point. I was like, all right, this is the direction I'm going to go. So I started creating a bunch of like affiliate sites and things like that, and they started doing well. And then I saw that people, including myself, were begging for a way to get their backlinks indexed, right? And I had tried a million different things, and there was one that this guy Shane Hunter had created. It was pretty cool, using Identica. I don't know if you remember that. It was like identity.ca,
Yeah.
And that was working really well. But then that went by the wayside, so I just started trying to do it for myself, and eventually I started mapping out what I would become now, backlinks indexer, and I realized that I really liked the idea of creating something or having the idea for something, and then turning it into the reality of it. It's amazing when you see your idea come to fruition in terms of, okay, this is exactly what I sought out to do, and now it's working the way I intended, and people are benefiting from it. I'm earning a living from it. It's a great situation for everyone when that can happen. And that really just springboarded a lot of different services for me. So I kind of took that money I made from that and just kept reinvesting it. And right from the start, I knew I wanted some predictability in my income. So I never really got into the launch model. Launch this, and then a month later I need to launch again just to survive. I hated that. I guess maybe because I was in the Army for almost 10 years, I liked that guaranteed paycheck.
Yeah.
So I had the SaaS model, software as a service, right from the start, and I never really looked back. And I like it in the sense that it kind of keeps you honest too, because people are going to stop paying you if your service sucks, right? So if you're providing what you need to, and there's no contracts, it's a monthly based service, then you kind of holding your feet to the fire, so to speak, where you have to keep providing. And yeah.
So how long ago, if you don't mind, how long ago was Backlinks Indexer born, actually?
Yeah, so if I look back to my gold notebook, is what I call it, I put all my best ideas in there. That was in 2008, 2009, where I started kind of planning out Backlinks Indexer the way it is now. And as far as when it quote unquote launched, when it was ready, I want to say 2010 is when I actually had it ready for the public, and made a forum post about it, and then started getting picked up, and then I started learning about affiliates. And then I had some big guys pick it up very quickly. Jonathan Ledger, I'm a big fan of, the best spinner, and some other stuff he does. I think you guys have talked about using his article stuff, like I Need Articles.
Yeah.
He just promoted the hell out of Backlinks Indexer, and just really snowballed from there. And some other guys picked it up, and I was just kind of learning through the process. And one of the biggest things that I regret doing, but is a learning point, is I was never building a relationship with my user base. They didn't know who Dan Anton was. They just knew Backlinks Indexer, which is fine, to a degree. But in this market, there's always different things that kind of go hand in hand with SEO. So when I would come out with a new product, sometimes there was that disconnect. And I never built that email rapport. So I've changed that obviously now. So when you come into buy a product of mine, you're brought along in the funnel. I call it like the bonding sequence up front. So I try to give a few bonuses that you didn't expect in the early emails, and then just talk about, keep it kind of, I guess, low-key and informal, just a little bit of who I am and that kind of thing, because building that relationship with your customer base is huge, and that was a big thing that I definitely missed early on in my business.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, but then from Backlinks Indexer, a whole bunch of other services came. I've been amazed at sometimes when I kind of go down the Dan Anton rabbit hole myself and see all of the different services. I've tested many of them. Not that there's anything wrong with any of them, and that's why I'm not a subscriber. But there's so many of them. It's like, where do you start?
Yeah, it was always that thing too, where we were like, well, should this all be in one service, or is it better to stay niche? It was a hard thing to really say, because I didn't know how to position ourselves at first. A lot of the times we were dealing with SEO resellers, and people were just white labeling our services, or they were SEO agencies and they just needed this or they needed that. They need everything packaged together. So yeah, we came out with I think right after Backlinks Indexer, because I was using Twitter as a big part of indexing at first, and I realized it was just too hard to sustain inside of that business model the way it was. And it kind of springboarded twitterbacklinks.com, which was another one that just kind of blew up pretty quickly too. There was a chiropractor, which is funny. Chiropractors are like one of the professions that just love doing SEO for some reason. Mm-hmm. So this chiropractor was also a very well-known marketer. He was like the SEO chiropractor guru to chiropractors, right? So he just kind of told this whole list, hey, I ranked number 4 overnight using this service, and he did.
You talking about Ben Atkins?
No. Well, strangely enough, it was not Ben Atkins.
That's wow, because he's got a big list too,
I know. No, this is before I even knew Ben Atkins or anything like that. I wish I could remember. If I looked it up, I'd find his name right away. But yeah, so he started using Twitter backlinks pretty heavy, and then after Twitter backlinks, there's just kind of natural to look at Pinterest. So we had Pinterest backlinks, and we tried Facebook backlinks, but that was pretty difficult to achieve just because Facebook is so on top of their algorithm, and just they make life hard for marketers. I mean, we still have something kind of similar, but I would never market it just as Facebook backlinks, just because, I'm going off on a little segue here, but I got an email from Facebook essentially telling me to discontinue the service because I was using it privately with success, and they didn't like it.
Huh.
Yeah. And my developer got an email as well because they saw what we were doing with it. So that got interesting. So we had a cease and desist, which we stopped. That's fine.
Yeah.
Well, I guess then the follow-up question to that Bradley kind of started, and I'm curious about, is one, do you feel like you have kind of decided how to position yourself, and then two, if you feel like you have or have not, I guess you can go either way, is, how did you choose that path, or how do you think you're going to choose that path, I guess?
Yeah, I'm still trying to decide, actually. My brother is also my partner in a lot of this stuff. He kind of handles all the client SEO side of the business. Like, I don't really like dealing with clients that much. Not that I don't like people. It's just that, it takes a lot of time. And I just enjoy the software side of it more as far as thinking of ideas and kind of creating based on that.
Well, it's okay to say that you like people, but you don't like clients. It's okay to say that.
Okay, is that safe? Is a safe environment for that? Yeah. All right, good. All right, yeah. So that's kind of I feel like the business is positioned in the sense that the software side of things caters to SEO agencies and resellers, and obviously there's the client side that deals with just local businesses. Now there are a lot of local businesses, don't get me wrong, that love the market for themselves. So if I look at like Crowdsearch as an example, there's tons of local businesses using it, dentists and whatnot, that I know are just using it for themselves and not as an SEO agency using it for for them.
Right.
So, so as far as I don't know, did I answer your question? Did I just kind of just belabor it some more?
No, that's fine. I mean, I was just curious. It's something that is near and dear to us because as we're moving forward, and I think every business, you're probably never done, but really defining, what's the core, of what you're doing and who you are and what you do is kind of.
Can I just get my laptop working here? Okay.
Yeah, I can see you, man.
Hold on, I need to shut one of these off. This is getting really confusing.
It's gonna start echoing.
Okay. Oh, why am I have no sound?
I can hear you. Can you hear
us?
us?
All right, cool. All right, I can pick this off now, as long as there's not like a weird echo or anything.
Yeah. No, sounds good.
All right, you can see I'm in my beach attire here.
Awesome.
Yeah.
No, you were. Oh, go ahead.
What Adam was saying was, I think we kind of had an idea what we wanted to do too when we launched in January of this year, and our whole trajectory has evolved as well, and it's really funny how that happens because you think you know where you want to go, but as your business kind of evolves and you correct along the path, you know what I'm saying, and it really started to change the trajectory of our business as well, and it's something that's like you just go with the flow, go where it's leading you, provided it feels right, you know what I mean? So.
Yeah, well, it seems like you guys have it down pretty well, a lot sooner than I did. You seem like you got all your ducks in a row. You got some good services, and your customers love you. I get emails actually quite a bit saying, telling me, Bradley Benner, he's a great guy. He actually had one guy tell me that I need to be more like you. I was like, I
Wow.
do. I was like, I do need to be more like Bradley because he's got it down. I'm too busy trying to figure out software.
Oh shucks, I'm blushing.
Oh man, well that okay.
Right now, he's like, yeah, that guy Dan sucks.
More Bradley, more Bradley. I was curious
Sorry.
about this when you got started. Did you are you well one? I'm just curious. Are you a programmer by just kind of figuring it out yourself, or
Yeah, to a degree. So I minored in computer science in college, majored in business, and I originally started out as a computer science major until I realized I didn't want to be, full. My mindset is not 100% as a programmer. I know enough to not get ripped off nowadays, so
yeah?
when I work with my developers and stuff like that, I know enough to not get screwed over. That's about where I am with it. When I first started Backlinks Indexer, the guys I hired kind of screwed me because I wasn't in the weeds enough. I kind of just gave them a left and right limit and said, this is what I want. And I gave them a lot too much. It was too ambiguous in terms of what I wanted from them. So the next time around, I got a lot more involved. I actually thought about coding it myself, and then as I started doing that and getting back into PHP and that sort of thing in MySQL and really learning how to make a beast of a website like this with data, because it's very database intensive, I realized that my time was much better spent marketing and just giving better specifications to these guys, to my developers, who I eventually would keep on long term and try to build a relationship. Building that relationship with your developers is huge too, because there's so many different freelancers out there, and it's like doctors. You have great doctors at the top of their class, and then really bad ones who are at the bottom of their class. Who do you want to do that major surgery on your lower back, right?
Yeah.
So do you still have some, like, for example, some of the developers that you hired for some of your initial projects, are they still with you today, like at least some of them?
Yes, most of them are. So if you look at the Backlinks Indexer, one of them is still on, and he's kind of been absorbed into a new team that I run, and that new team is pretty much the team I will stay with. I don't plan on ever really deviating from them because they're really amazing. They're outsourced, but they're as good as any. I've used even USA-based teams and gone to their offices and stuff, and this team I use now is as good as any team I've ever worked with. So I'll continue that, and yeah, there's a lot of synergy between that past projects and current projects because, again, you have to keep supporting these monthly projects. Obviously, just because it's been 5 years, even Backlinks Indexer is, I don't know what, 5 years old now.
Wow.
But you still have to support it.
Well, you said a magic word that I'd like to bring this part up because I think this is really important. A lot of our students are solopreneurs. You know what I mean? So they're the guy that's sitting behind their computer desk at home. Some of them still have jobs and they're trying to build a business for themselves. And one of the things that we try to teach our students a lot of the times is to start building a team and start outsourcing, where you can, so that you can start working on your business instead of being the mechanic behind everything all the time. Because there's only so many hours in the day. So how important is it? When did you start developing a team immediately? And what? And if not, when did you start to develop a team, and what caused you to see that you needed that?
Even before, it was kind of almost at the same time as Backlinks Indexer, maybe a little bit before then. I was trying to do, it was like a passion website of mine. I was trying to do something for video games. It was going to be like a Facebook, MySpace at the time, MySpace for people like video games, and I got a really good start. There was a blog post by Alakazam, which was like a big video game website. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it at all, but they did a post and I had I had 1,000 users almost overnight. But here's the problem: is the website couldn't support it. I had somebody hacked the website, had a virus. It was a lot of nightmares. And the developer that I had bought the script from for this website basically just kept wanting more money out of me to do this and do that, and I just got tired of it. So I got burned early on by some bad developers. I went to freelancer.com and Elance, and you can find some gold there, honestly, but I don't know if the learning curve is just that you have to do trial and error, or you have to really vet these guys to make sure that they aren't going to screw you over and that they're going to be around for the long term, because you want to make sure that they're not just going to put something out for you and then never support it. I had one guy from Vietnam. He was brilliant, but all of a sudden I couldn't contact him anymore. He was gone. A year later, he contacted me and said he was in a terrible moped accident. He was drinking on his moped, and asked if he could start the project back up for free because he just felt bad. And I was just like blown away by, just that could happen, and you just feel so powerless in those situations. What do you do, right? So it's important to have an established team. So if I were looking for developing a team of developers today, I would definitely have a lot of questions to ask them in terms of how long they've been around. If they have a phone number, great. If you talk to them, even better. Make sure there's more than just one person. Again, you don't want, if it's you want it to be a company. So if one person goes by the wayside, that doesn't mean that the business shuts down. All of a sudden, you have no coders anymore. So you definitely want some people who are to stand behind that and that kind of thing. Now, I'd have, from a computer programming background, I know what I would ask, but for someone just starting out, I think it's just really important to just kind of paint that picture, even if it's as simple as, if you have an idea for a project, it's just, even if you just can convey that through paint and flow charts and some kind of diagrams. Because again, I've found, and I've made the mistake even later on doing this work, that if you leave the details for speculation, and just if it's too ambiguous, you're not going to get what you want, because no one can see the vision except for you. And if you can't paint that picture, how the hell is anyone else going to do it?
Right.
So
you built a team fairly early, and there was obviously the growing pains from all that, which I think we all experience. And I think that's what, it's funny because like our mastermind members most of our mastermind members are a little bit further along in their business, where some of them have multiple clients, and some of them run their own small agencies and that sort of thing. And we get, even from some of our really successful mastermind members that have really successful businesses, they talk about horror stories of outsourcing and and saying that sometimes they just give up on trying to hire out help. But I think there's a process that can be taught for that as well, as on how to find people, put them through a process that can help to vet them, as you just mentioned, and then put them into place. And I think that's something that, if you're going to truly become a successful business owner, remember, guys, a true business. Look, if you've created and I'm talking to the audience now, but if you create, if you say you're going to run your own business and you're working behind your computer doing everything 14 hours, 16 hours a day, do you really have a business, or are you just self-employed? You've got a job for yourself, and a business should be able to run itself even if you remove yourself from it. Maybe not entirely, but at least it should, on a day-to-day, be able to make money for you, even if you're not present. And that's where I think building a team is really, really important, and get out of your comfort zone and actually to build a team. And so, going through these trial and errors, I think we all have to do it. It's your coming uppins, you know what I mean? So.
The guys that we've used to, I guess you're familiar with Web 2.0 backlinks that we have, right?
Yes.
It's entirely VA powered. There's no software that's involved in that service, and the guy who runs it is a guy I started with even before Backlinks Indexer, and I think I had him for an article, and he Skyped me, or I think we were using Yahoo Messenger back then, and he was like, "Hey, sir, do you have any more work for me?" And I was just like, "Well, I have this idea for some tiered link building." This was another thing that I started right after my Squidoo package. It was called Backlinks Insanity, and I basically had this like crazy tier structure, and the funny thing is, everyone's like trying to pitch this kind of stuff now, and I was doing it back then. But I taught this guy how to do Web 2.0 tiered link building, dash stacking in 2010, and he's doing. He didn't know anything. He didn't even know what a backlink was back then, So I mean, I trained this guy from the ground up, and then he trained 5 people under him. So when your VA is training VAs, you've got something pretty cool there.
Yeah.
He was like a senior VA essentially at that point.
Yeah, not too.
I'm sorry to cut you off. I was saying Bradley brought up a very good point though, because if outsourcing is, I wouldn't even call it a necessary evil. It's just necessary, unless you don't ever want to scale.
Right.
I mean, if you cannot scale your business until you can remove yourself from it. That's just the bottom line. And that doesn't mean you just don't ever check things. I still check the support desk and stuff like that and make sure things are there. You kind of have to you play that managerial role at some point. But if you're afraid to outsource, it's just going to be very tough to grow.
Yeah. Adam, you had a question?
I did, but it basically got kind of answered, so not a problem.
Well, and one of the things I can say is, like when and I've told this story before, but I kind of hit a glass ceiling with my own business because I was doing everything myself, and I felt like I felt like nobody could do what I did as good as I did, You know what I mean? And I know we all feel like that, as you know, that we're all the best at what we do, and we can't ever train anybody to do what we do or to be as good as we are. But that's bullshit, because you can. You know, it's just a matter of setting up a process that can be repeated. And if you can document your own activities, that you know, the process of the task in a linear fashion as to, you know, how to complete a particular task, you can teach somebody else how to do it.
Definitely.
And that's where your scaling comes in, which is true. And you know, I had got to the point where I mean, I was working 16 hours a day, and yeah, I was making good money, but I had no life, and I wasn't being able to enjoy the money.
Yep.
And I couldn't really scale anymore. In fact, I had, you know, when I had potential other, you know, clients, I did do a lot of local SEO and client work, not so much anymore, but I had been, and I couldn't take on any more work. And I'm the type of guy that never said no to any project, so I would take it on anyways, and then I'd be like, oh shit, I don't have the time, I got to try to figure out how to do it, and it just became very, very stressful. And then I found a book that was called Work the System by, I think his name is John Carpenter or something like that. Great, great book. And I read that, and it was basically, it hit me over the head with a sledgehammer. It said, you gotta put a team in place. You gotta learn to outsource, or you'll always be in this like position where you're working 16 hours a day. And I got out of my comfort zone, and I was only going to hire one person full time, which I was real hesitant to do, but I ended up hiring two, because I forced myself to just hire two full-time VAs. And what was interesting was I very quickly, because I was paying them salary, so they were getting paid whether I had work for them or not, you know what I mean? And so very quickly I was able to unload work onto them just because I didn't want to pay them for not doing anything. You know what I mean? So,
Right. Gotta get your money's worth.
yeah, and it was interesting because once I got those first two VAs trained, and it freed up so much of my time, then I was like, wow, this is incredible, because I was able to just grab a couple more clients, which the VAs that I had hired were in the Philippines, roughly $500 a month per VA, but I was able to pick up, you know, several clients, which was a net effect of, like, you know, gross, I was picking up like another $2,500, $2,800 in income from the additional clients that I picked up, but I was only paying out $1,000 a month for those VAs. And it dawned on me then, I was like, you know, for 3 years I struggled on my own, and I said, man, you know, here's the ability to scale this business up much higher just by putting people in place that, you know, and start generating more revenue. And it worked really well. And then very shortly thereafter, we, you know, Semantic Mastery, we formed as a private group, and when we launched at the beginning of January, we were just the 5 of us, and now our team is, what, going on maybe 18 people now, Adam, something like that?
Yeah, I'm the one person who should know this, but yeah, we're quickly approaching 20.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, you guys are growing crazy. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I got.
Go ahead.
Quick question too about while we're talking about scaling, because you've got the people, and then just I'm always curious about how people do it. Like, do you have any favorite systems you use, either software, or, you know, that your one lucky notebook, or what do you use to keep things under control?
Yeah. Well, as far as my projects, I'm kind of just nostalgic for my little binder notebook for as far as the details of that. But day to day, talking to, you know, my team and everything, we used to use Asana quite a bit. So Asana was a great way for us to kind of coordinate different things. And we've recently switched over to Trello a lot. So it's a card-based system. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Trello.
That's what we use. Trello exclusively, yeah.
Yeah, we're pretty much 100% on Trello now. So you guys are good to go. You know the deal.
Yeah. Yeah. Trello is awesome, dude. The way we use Trello is we, you know, again, like, and that's what I learned from that book, Work the System, was literally to create what he calls working procedures, and that's where you document your task in a step-by-step fashion. So step 1, step 2, step 3, to where we can hire a VA from that's never had any online marketing experience whatsoever, and we put them in front of Trello boards. And the Trello boards are set up with a to-do, doing, done, and then technical help rows or lists. And it's just amazing because we can plug them into the Trello boards that has the links to the training videos and each card and everything else. And they go through that process usually 2, maybe 3 times they'll use the board. By the time they've done it 2 or 3 times, they know the process by heart. And it's just amazing because we don't have to train anybody. Once we develop the working procedures, and those are living working procedures. In other words, they're editable. You know, those evolve too, and we ask, like, for example, our VAs, you know, for suggestions. Is there some sort of task that you can make more efficient in any way? And if so, make a suggestion. And if we see that does indeed work, then we'll, you know, change the working procedures. Right. But it works really well because we can just plug people in and they learn the process just like that. You know.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of systems. I love systems in any kind of capacity because it just lets you kind of take your mind out of what do I do next? Do I do this? Well, let's just follow this recipe here that I've already done before and I know it works. You take the time up front to really put that recipe out there. Are most people on the call like local? Would you say they're mostly doing local SEO in the audience?
What do you say, Adam?
It's a good mix, but yeah, if I had to guess, I would say probably at least half.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I mean,
probably
this obviously going to be a lot of repetition and redundancy in what you do for local clients. Like, okay, do you have your Google business listing? Okay, do you have your citations? So it can be there's so many parts of that business that can be systemized where even though you might have to pick up the phone and talk to your clients, but there's a lot of that business that you could still outsource and systemize and not have to think too much about it. There's just going to be so much overlap in terms of, okay, I don't have to reinvent the wheel every single client. I mean, maybe some clients are needier than others, but that's about as far as it should really get.
Yeah.
All right, we got a good. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Adam.
I was gonna say we got a good. Eventually, we're gonna skip over to questions, but I just saw someone put down. So this is just not a random question. This is a good question from Scott, but he was just saying, what's the very first thing to outsource? So this can just be a question for you, Dan. Like, if you had to, what was either one, the very first thing you did outsource, or two, looking back, what is the very first thing you would outsource?
Very first thing to outsource for me was it was building Web 2.0 tiered link building, but that's going to be very specific based on what you're doing. I would say the main thing that's outsourced right now in my business is my support desk, in terms of training up that support desk so they can answer questions. They're never going to be as good as you because you are the business, right? But they can be pretty close, and if they can't, you need a system in place so that they can answer it as best as they can, and if they can't, they escalate it to you. So an escalation system is key, but I think being able to outsource your support desk is key, especially if you have a lot of clients. I mean, I've got, I don't know, talking about 10,000 plus clients and some, across all services, right? So it's impossible for me to handle that support desk by myself. I love dealing with people and trying to handle stuff, but it's just impossible. I would kill myself, right? Because a lot of people come to the support desk aren't there to tell you, hey, everything's great and see you later. They're usually there to say, hey, this shit's not working. What the hell's happening? They're not always the most cheerful. But you try to kill them with kindness. Like I get in there and I answer tickets sometimes too, just for fun, and try to help out. But I think that's really key if you're trying to grow and scale. That your support desk needs to be outsourced, and do it in a way that you trust it, because you don't want to just let anyone. That's the face of your business, right? That's your Walmart greeter, eventually.
Yeah.
That's funny.
No, definitely. That's actually something we're working on right now. So.
Yeah, because Adam is our support. He's the face of our support, and God bless him for it, man. Because that's not something I can do, man.
People helping, that's even better. So I have, we have like a team of VAs who do the support desk, and then if it's a technical issue, they can escalate it to my technical staff in the VA system, and if they can't handle it, then they can escalate it to me or to Matt, my brother, or whatever. Okay. So cool. There's a few tiers involved in that.
Well,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Adam.
Saying while we're on this, should we just kind of skip down and start going through some questions, or?
Yeah, I would like to.
The list here. I think I had them open too.
I would like to go through some of these questions that are here first, but before we get into that, one more question, I guess, Dan, I would have for you is, for people that are listening that are just looking to, that are already, again, most of our students are already at some point of creating their online marketing business. Mostly SEO stuff, but in any type of marketing business whatsoever that, again, different stages, but they're somewhere along that path. What would you say would be like your elevator pitch, or your like one good thing, if you could boil it down into one, that would like advice, encouragement, something like that?
I would say.
I'll put you on the spot, buddy. So.
Are you talking about in terms of what's like one of the biggest things they should do for themselves in their business starting out?
Yeah, like just advice of what could they what kind of advice could you give to them as somebody that's been in business for yourself for many years now, to encourage them to go keep the path or whatever. Is there something that you can offer?
Yeah. Well, I'll first say that you should definitely not give up on whatever you think that you. If you think there's a good idea in your head and you want to get it done, don't give up on it even if there's a setback. And that's such a cliche, but let me give you this example. Backlinks Indexer is a great example of this. I had the idea for it, and I didn't give the specifications like I said earlier, and I spent $10,000, $20,000 on getting it developed, I think, something like that. And when it came down to the final stage, it just didn't work the way it was supposed to. You know what I mean? And it's one of those deals where if I don't have 100% of the project, I might as well not have any of it. And it was like I have 90% of this, and that's what it was. I fought back and forth with this developer, and he was just being a real, jerk about it. And for whatever reason, he was just arguing about semantics with me. If I told him, I was like, I'm paying you $20,000. If I'm telling you that this elephant is red, it's red and not blue. He's like, well, I can't say that because that's what it is. Anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent because that guy made me upset. Anyway, I thought about giving up on the project then. I was like, well, fuck it.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't do internet marketing. Maybe I should do something else. And then I was like, no, people want backlinks indexed. Damn it, I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna get this done. So I went back to the process, found a whole new team, some lessons learned on the right questions to ask. Paid a lot of money for it to get done, and then put it out there. And luckily, it was, and in my opinion, still is the best indexing service. Obviously I'm biased, but and then the affiliates picked it up and 3 months later, it was making like $100K a month overnight, essentially overnight. And I was just like, hell yeah. And I was just about out of the army. I think it was like I signed the paperwork and I was out of the army, and there was my transition point. So I was pretty excited about that. So it's when you see it come to fruition in that sense, you're just like, holy crap, this is awesome. And that was the pivotal moment for me.
So stay with it, number one. And then what about
definitely.
One other, I guess, follow-up question to go along with that is, what about, especially being in this particular industry, God, you know this, man, I know you do, but how easy is it to get distracted from your goal?
Oh, it's a daily, like, constant thing, especially on Facebook. Sometimes I don't even go on Facebook. I only go on Facebook for advertising, really. I like to print money with advertising, so I got a lot of conversion-type stuff on Facebook ads, but yeah, if I go to my regular news feed, I scroll down and I'm like, oh, what's this guy? Oh, maybe I should get into Shopify. Oh, maybe I should get into Amazon. Oh, maybe I should do this, maybe I should do that. And I've probably dabbled in everything. I'm as guilty as this as anyone, but eventually I just slap myself silly and say, no, focus on this until it's done. Because, it's kind of like in the Army. Who was it who said, it's better to have an 80% plan executed today than a 100% plan executed tomorrow. It was Eisenhower. So bottom line is just get it done and get it done as early as possible. And if you have 10 things you're working on, they're all at 90% completion, what the hell? Just focus on one, get it to 100%. Then the next one, get it to 100%. You have to really laser focus it because distractions are part of this business, and you rationalize with yourself constantly, like, oh, I'm increasing my education and this and that. And yeah, you do to a degree, but at some point you just have to freaking make some money for yourself and execute. Planning is great, execution is everything.
Absolutely.
And the biggest thing that I failed on is just not building that email list. And that's just the nature of this business. That email list, that relationship, and I wouldn't even say build an email list because you want money from it. Build an email list because you're trying to build that relationship. You want to be that voice that people won't unsubscribe from, because everyone's on 10 different email lists, right? So you have to kind of differentiate yourself a little bit from the rest of the pack. If you're promoting everything under the sun, they're going to eventually just stop. So build a relationship with your customers, and take the time every once in a while. People Facebook message me. I try not to, because I get a lot of them. I try not to just ignore them. You answer them, and it's all about that relationship building. And I've said that like 100 times.
Yeah. So my takeaway that I got from that was prioritize and execute. So that's
definitely.
What I took away.
That is the key, and I should, everyone should have that on their mantle. I need to put it on there for myself to remind myself too sometimes.
P&E. P&E. All right, Adam, should we get into some questions?
Yeah, let's do it. Let me scroll down here, I think. Okay, this isn't a question. This is some pretty shameless self-promotion because I love Video Powerhouse because I was involved in it. But Florian says Serp Space plus Video Powerhouse plus Crowdsearch equals best video embed network on the planet. And that's his way of saying he wants it integrated.
Yeah, that's a nudge at Dan for we're talking about that possibly.
Yeah, Adam and I talked about some possibilities with that, and I think there's some real potential for something pretty cool.
Very cool.
Let's see what else we got here. Let me flip back over. A question again from Florian. So he's saying, do you have in your plans to allow geographical crowd search for French people. He said that when you launched Geo for the first time, it was there, but it looks like it's not anymore. And he says it's really unfair because Germany and the UK have it.
Well, when I first pushed that feature out, I just had like a global list of all the countries and stuff listed, so it wasn't really based on what the search demographic that I had. And then later, I had to, actually put what my user base was in terms of searchers. So that changed, and I don't know where we're at right now as far as people in France. I'm going to guess kind of low, just because it's hard to get that kind of thing. But I will say this: we have a mobile app, and everyone who installs that app basically becomes part of the search network in the background, essentially. And that's going to be pretty big starting in a few weeks. We have the beta. It's like alpha beta. It's pretty much ready for production at this point. I'm going to start advertising it here next month, or excuse me, in a few weeks, and then the iOS version will be ready, I want to say, in February.
I remember when you posted in Facebook asking about which platform to build it in originally.
Yeah, so I started with Android first just because it's easier. It's kind of funny, though, because when I posted on the Google Play Store, in the description, I put exactly what it is. I was just like, well, we're using crowd searchers to increase your Google rank and this and that, and I submitted it, and then it said it was going to a manual review, and I was like, oh, crap. So I guess this Google Play Store, this might be tough. This is like a little interesting here, but they approved it.
The best place to hide is in plain sight. You know what I mean?
Exactly right. Android used to just approve you. They didn't even care. It was just like, whatever, I don't care what this is, put it on there. But now there's a manual review process. I guess the guy who did it doesn't care. He doesn't care about Mac cuts. But one day, if this gets ridiculously huge, Google may just try to shut down the Android app. But if they do, whatever.
Yeah.
There's other avenues to get it out there. And the iOS app is coming too. I didn't initially develop for that just because iOS is a little harder to get approved, generally speaking. I don't think it will be a problem or anything like that, but it's just more of a pain.
So the app, and without spilling the beans too much, man, but I can assume that the apps are going to be basically running searches through the mobile device, which is actually great because that, to me, is a more powerful signal, especially for geolocation.
We've got a few beta testers in now, and I'm exclusively testing mobile traffic, and it's pretty interesting. The result, it's going to be mixed in with everything else, but it's doing some really cool stuff.
Powerful.
And the great thing about it is you earn credits too if you have it installed on your device. So like right now, if you install this Android Crowdsearch app, you will earn credits every day as well. So you essentially could, depending on how many searches you're trying to do per day, you could basically have it for free. People who use it more than a handful of searches a day are going to need more packages, more credits, obviously. But
right.
For the people who just don't want to spend any money and they just don't care about large campaigns, they can just do it for free.
Very
awesome.
Cool. Next, Adam.
Yeah, Daniel is saying, what language do you write your web apps in? If you don't mind sharing, I'm gonna guess a couple, but
a lot of it's PHP and some Angular, JavaScript, and that sort of thing. Again, though, I am not the main developer. I am the architect, I would say, of what we do. But yeah, most of the stuff is in PHP and WordPress plugins and that sort of thing.
Gotcha. Cool. All right. The second question was, how do you keep organized with so many projects? But I feel like we've kind of done that one.
Trello. It used to be Asana, but mostly now just Trello, the same as you guys.
Gotcha. Cool. All right. And then his last one, which I guess is good. This is kind of a specific sub question, but how do you track your finances? I guess, is there any systems you use, like, or are you, busting out the ledger sheet?
Get an accountant. As soon as I got a CPA in 2011, and I'm not talking H&R Block. You gotta get a no shit bookkeeper to I have more than one PayPal account. I have half dozen or more, and then I also have merchant credit card accounts, authorized.net accounts, Wells Fargo business accounts. All that stuff needs to be tracked. You need to make sure you're not getting screwed out of overlap, because sometimes you have to send money from one PayPal account to another or whatever. But you can link all your business PayPal accounts. Once you start making so much money per month, you get assigned a PayPal account rep, and basically all your PayPal accounts automatically will deposit into your main PayPal account, kind of be like your core account, and you can go based on that. Now, my accountant likes to track all of our services individually, so they track all the PayPal accounts individually. But I'd say get a CPA, otherwise you might as well become a CPA at that point.
Yeah.
Because it could be a nightmare. I mean, I think I was shopping around for a little bit. I was like, I could probably do this myself, download the stuff into one of these cloud-based bookkeeping things and this and that. it's not worth your time. It's not worth the headache. So you just pay out whatever it costs. It's a small percentage of your business, and it's tax deductible anyway.
That's right. Yeah, that's. I mean, we got a really good accountant. I found the one that she's actually was my accountant for my local marketing agency, and she's just amazing. And so we brought her on for Semantic Mastery as well. And Adam actually does our books still, even though I've been encouraging him to stop. but she's our accountant, and I think they're worth their weight in gold. You know.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's going to quickly come to a close, but.
As you guys keep getting bigger, I don't know if you'll be able to keep doing that, Adam.
Yeah, for the first year, I think it's it's generally possible, but yeah, that's one we've got to get rid of next. So once we get support taken care of.
Yep.
Good problems. Let's see. Okay, Dan was saying he's asking if you, Dan, have done testing to see how much the geo-targeted searches help the local videos rank when it comes down to the state, province, and even city level. So do you? I think he meant to say, do you get the bang for the buck when you're spending the extra credits for the local searches?
Okay. Well, I will say this local. I think it's as important right now, but I think it will be eventually. And I'm not differentiating between video and websites because I haven't gone that deep, but just in terms of a whole, I wouldn't say it's quite there yet. But we did just come out with advanced local map search, which requires geolocation search. So in order to have that feature, you want people to click on your maps, do driving directions, that sort of thing. You're going to need to put it on there. Just
when
because.
When did you release that? I was just in Crowdsearch like 2 days ago.
Like 3 days ago, man, and I've been kind of bug testing it, so I didn't want to put it out there just yet. So if you put on geolocation search right now, there's a new option for advanced map search.
Okay, because I was going to say, because I was just in there like 2 days ago, and I haven't been using GeoSearch location, even though I got so many damn credits a month. It's ridiculous, but I use damn near every one of them. But I haven't been using geolocation, guys, and I've mentioned this a lot. Any of you that are students of us, I've been sending referral traffic, and that's what I've been using it for, and that has just been crushing it for local videos and for local websites, especially sending referral traffic. So sending traffic from Crowdsearch through like a tweet or a WordPress post or a Tumblr post or something like that has just been crushing it. So I haven't been spending the extra credits on the geolocation search. However, the map search I'm certainly going to try, and I'm also anxious to try the apps when you have the mobile apps available for us. So.
Yeah, the referral traffic is crazy, and you kind of found that out early on using Crowdsearch, and that's been what most people I think are starting to shift towards, because referral search as a whole right now is just doing amazing things in search results. And
I'm ranking like competitive terms, videos and stuff using just referral traffic and nothing else. And it's interesting because it's not something that happens immediately. It takes some time, and you don't want to overdo it either. Like, for example, you don't want to send 100 views per day to a video through referral traffic. It just looks unnatural, especially for like local terms. But setting up a campaign and you just let it sit for 3-4 weeks, all of a sudden that thing will just jump to page 1 and it just sticks. Like, I've got some competitive terms videos that are just haven't budged in months now, and all I've got is a referral campaign set up that's driving about maybe 30 clicks through per month, and that's it.
That's awesome. And you're talking embeds or Twitter or both?
Sending referral traffic through. I haven't even tried the embed views yet.
Yeah.
Because I haven't needed to. I've just been sending. What I do is I put like a hashtag in a tweet or in a post, like on WordPress or Tumblr or something, and then I have Crowdsearch search for that hashtag, so it comes up right away. It's real easy for Crowdsearch to find it, and then they click through it, and then I have the internal search set up, but not on random search or the internal clicks. I don't have it set on random. I put a specific URL that I want them to click through, and that's the URL to the YouTube video, so they end up on the watch page.
Right, yeah. No, I think you're right on point. I've done the same thing too with the hashtag searches to force the listing, and Twitter's in bed with Google and vice versa, so they're sharing data, so it's a natural thing to do right now.
So I haven't even tested the actual embed views. I haven't tried that yet, so I need to do it. I just haven't done it yet. So
maybe you just wait until Video Powerhouse has it.
Yeah, that's right. Just wait till we got it too. So.
Let's see. All right, so we got kind of the last one, and then I'm going to roll this other one into something else. But Aaron is asking, what's the app name? Can't seem to find it. Is that available right now?
It's not published yet. It's in alpha right now,
Gotcha.
so you can't search for it actually.
Okay.
if they're on the mailing list or anything like that, if they go to crowdsearch.me/Android, I want to say that is a link I made a while ago. Let me just verify that it's a thing. Sending people the random links.
All right, Adam.
That looks like something there.
Yeah, and it looks like that's where you can go. So,
Yep.
Kendrick, if you're watching or listening, that's where you can go and become a tester. He was asking about that.
Yeah, and once it's live, I'm going to start putting out emails for everyone to get, have the option to install it and use it.
Yeah, well, let us know. We'll mail our list for it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Kendrick was asking, Dan, where are all of your products? I know you've mentioned a few, but it looks like there are others that should be looked at. So we'll kind of call that the last question and kind of roll into if you've got anything you want to.
You guys got a weird view of me right now, huh? Linksvault.com was my original brand name that I was trying to go with, and then, I got aggressive with trying to win buy backlinks back in the day with WordPress sponsorship and all that stuff. So I got penalized, of course. But if you're not getting penalized, you're not trying hard enough, right?
Yeah.
So these are all these are pretty much all the services I have. SafeRank Backlinks is kind of a geared towards web designers and local SEO resellers, kind of like a Aussie rank where you don't have to deal with any of the bullshit.
Well, if you like, because I remember finding all your products just from logging into like Web 2.0 backlinks or something, because they're usually listed at the bottom or something, aren't there? Like footer links too.
I was doing that. I was doing those footer links, but then I didn't want to connect all my properties just to protect myself from Google. I don't know. You start getting paranoid.
Do you have like an index page where stuff would be listed even if it's not linked out? Like, do you have anything like that?
Like I said, if you go to backlinksvault.com, I have all my services listed there pretty much.
Okay. Yeah, I'll drop that in there.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just
I missed that.
backlinks, plural, and then VAULT.
Okay, I see it.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of it's all little niche services. I'm pretty sure they're all here.
And so the ones that I'll vouch for that I use religiously are Backlinks Indexer, hands down my favorite indexer, and has been for quite some time. I've tested dozens of indexers, no kidding. Backlinks Indexer, well, hands down one of my favorites. Crowdsearch, without a doubt, that's just a staple of my business now and has been since you launched it. Like, I jumped in on your first webinar about it and been with it ever since. I think that was in November 2014. Yeah.
Yes, we're about we're just over a year now.
Yeah, and then also social network signals. That's a really good service, man. I actually, once again, I tested like dozens of social social signal services, and out of all of them, yours was the only one that would do make the post and then have engagement on the post. Nobody else does that, man.
This is another one that's just entirely VA powered, and all my VAs are subscribers of all these those share services and stuff like that. So they have all the best ones to use, and they won't stop sharing your URL on your site until you get those signals to pop up, because not all of them work, So they keep doing it until you get some solid ones in there. Yeah, I mean, it's very VA intensive, but that's kind of one that's hard for me to scale because I only have so many people who are really trained up on how to do it the right way. But yeah, I'm pretty proud of social network signals because it does work, and it's like you said, one of the few that it's not just giving me a bunch of crappy ones.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the only one I know of that that provides engagement on the social posts. Like, I've never seen any other ones do it, and it was funny because for whatever reason, I didn't even know you had that service, and I had gone through about 4 months. I went through about 8 or 10 different social signal services, and I was testing them for our group, and they were all shit. They were all garbage, man. I came across yours, and I was like, man, this is Dan Anton's product. I should try it, and sure enough, it was really good. So,
thank you. I'm glad that it worked for you.
All right, well, I think we're just about up on questions, and we're just about at the hour mark. I know there's one other thing that you've been working on developing that I kind of want to tease a little bit, if you want to talk about it.
Yeah, so it's kind of been something kicking my ass the last few months, really, but we're getting there. It's going to be something that people who build PBNs are going to get really excited about, because it's one of those things where it takes a lot of time to do that the right way. Everyone's talking about you want to build a real site PBN, you want it to make like a real site. So I just figured let's go right to the source. Let's go to the Wayback Archive machine, Wayback Machine, and get the website the way it used to look. And people are doing this now with HTML, and there's You can pay. I think there's a few services out there like Wayback Downloader. You can pay like $30 for the thing or whatever. I want an automated solution that does this, and it's not going to cost a lot. So you can basically just plug in. This is the web archive URL. This is the website that what it used to look like. Click here. Let's revive it, bring it back from what it used to be, and pop it on my WordPress hosting, and now it's done. And now you have a PBN essentially up in a couple seconds. That is the goal we're at with it, and we're going to be able to do some cool stuff like, because sometimes there's phone numbers and logos and business addresses from the previous owner, so we're going to have stuff in there to try to take all that out as automated as possible. If you wanted to get crazy and turn all the links to no follow, except for maybe some of the ones that you're going to post, you could do that. So a lot of little cool stuff like that to make life easy. And that's in beta right now, and we only have a handful of people actually testing it right now, some pretty big people, PBN users, but we'll probably open another round up here in another week or two. Can I give the website? Or
yes, cool? Please do. Sure.
Yeah, it's domainrevive.com, and it's just an opt-in right now. You can just drop your email in, and as soon as I have slots available, you guys will be the first to know. And it's just going to be I haven't really come up with the exact pricing model yet, but you'll probably only have to pay for what you use, and it'll be fairly inexpensive, trust me, because people build a lot of PBNs. I'm not trying to kill you guys or anything like that. It'll be cheaper than anything else that's out there, and it'll be a lot better than anything else that's out there. So that's how I win. That's how you win.
Very cool. Domainrevive.com.
Domain Revive, yep.
Yeah, I just popped it on the page there, so you guys should check that out.
Awesome. Well, since there's not any other questions, man, and I told you guys that did show up today, this wasn't going to be a pitch fest, so we held to it. So, Dan, we want to thank you so much for your time today, man. I think that's valuable. You're the first of well, actually, you're the second, to be honest with you.
That's okay.
We're starting this whole once a month thing. We're going to be trying to interview somebody that's really successful in business, not necessarily in the IM world, just in business, period, to try to gain some information, because I think that's something that, most IM marketers, and I know you know this, they sell products or services, but they don't teach how to actually build businesses, and I think that's like one of the things that are missing in our industry, and so we're trying to fill that gap at least a little bit, you know what I mean? So having you on was definitely an honor, man. We really appreciate you coming on and taking the time out to share with our audience.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's a good time. I appreciate it.
Cool. Thanks, Dan. No, I think we're good. Call it a night. And again, thanks for.
Got to get back to the books.
Yeah. Never stops. Yeah, right. I got a beer waiting for me. So.
It's beer 30, buddy. I'm gonna go get mine too. So.
Sounds about right.
All right, guys. Everybody, thanks for being here. We'll see you all tomorrow for Hump Day Hangouts.
All right. Have a good night.
All right.
Bye everybody.
Bye.